Why can birds stand on an electric wire without getting electrocuted, but humans can't? I don't know. Maybe they've asked permission from the people in the village. I don't know. Hello, good morning. It's wonderful to be with you on this terrific Thursday morning. Time for your message from the morning man. Very nice shirt, Mama B. I love that shirt. Anyway, over the weekend, I bumped into an old friend from Cape Coast called Hagan. Now, I met him when I was a teenager. He was a few years older than I was and had recently graduated from Cape Coast Polytechnic. Now, Hagan loved computers. He didn't own one, but you would see him every day at the computer center, just waiting for the workers to give him a few minutes with the machines. Even then, they only allowed him access to the faulty computers. Hagan didn't seem to mind, though. He would simply fix the fault and then use the computer until the end of the day. But by the time he returned the next day, that computer he had repaired would no longer be accessible to him, and he would have to fix himself another broken one. Some of my friends used to laugh at Hagan. Like typical teenagers, they had a cruel sense of humor that caused them to ridicule my poorly dressed, unemployed friend who was always hovering around looking for a job from people who looked down on him. Now, whenever I spoke to him about it, he would say, "Oh, I'm not unemployed, Kuju. I am becoming an employee as we speak." Hagan never got that computer center job. Instead, he was employed by a comm center. Do you remember those comm centers? Yeah, he was employed by a comm center in town as a technician. Now, this was a dream job for Hagan because it meant he had unlimited access to those computers all day long. Whenever I stopped by to see him, he would tell me about all the exciting things he was learning from tinkering with the machines. He had a dream of pursuing a professional career in ICT. Back then, it was referred to as computer science. Yeah. So I asked how he was going to achieve this without any formal training. With his usual smile, he would say, "I'm not untrained, Kojo. I'm becoming trained as we speak." Now, Hagan never saw himself in terms of what he was. He only saw what he could become. He often started sentences with, "What if?" or "Can you imagine?" He cared not about how things were, but how things should be. Hagan reminded me of a verb. He was always doing something, going somewhere, becoming something. Today, Hagan is the director of tech research for a huge South African company. I was so proud of him when I met him yesterday. Now, in that same comm center was another guy named Bondzie. Now, Bondzie was a very different guy from Hagan. He would always join in on our conversations, but his perspective was different. Bonzie would say things like, "I'm a father of three, I can't just leave my family and go to school." Or, "Majority of Ghanaians are barely literate. This computer thing now, it will never catch on." Or, my favorite, "I just work here, I don't own the place." You know, Bonzie placed a lot of stock in how things are. He often started sentences with, "Let's face the truth," or "You can't escape the fact that." To him, things were the way they are for a reason, and there was no point trying to change them. Bonzie reminded me of a noun. He was always defining his circumstances and sticking to them. Today, Bonzie is still in Cape Coast, working at the same comm center. It's called a business center now, and they have added photocopying to their menu of services. My dear friend, for most of us, 2020 has been a challenging year, to put it mildly. And let's not kid ourselves, the worst might still be ahead for us. We can either approach these challenges with the Hagan or the Bonzie mindsets. We can either decide that we are what we are, we have what we have, and leave the rest to God, or we can look at our circumstances, refuse to let them define us, and then start doing something to change them. Now, we can either be nouns or we can be verbs. Let me ask you, are you jobless? Is your business failing? Are you still unmarried? Have you tried and failed several times to have a baby? Well, either you give your problems a name and let that name define you, or you ask yourself, "What if?" and let your problems propel you into seeking solutions. So what's it going to be? Noun or verb? Now, as a nation, we faced epic challenges this year. The economy took a beating in 2019, and this year it came into an even bigger battle against COVID-19 with already broken bones. The city has somehow managed to limp along so far, thank goodness, but the banking crisis has stripped our coffers. The virus has decimated businesses, resulting in so much unemployment, and many people will march to the polling stations in November, hungry and jobless, with not much to choose between by way of leadership. There have been health issues, education problems, security difficulties, democratic dilemmas, governance cock-ups, sanitation headaches. And on top of all that, every time it rains, we all tremble with fear, asking ourselves, who is going to die tonight? So what are we going to do as a nation? Are we going to look at our label as a middle-income country and say, well, we can't do much, so let's just be grateful we have peace? Or are we going to cast our eye over our challenges and see the infinite opportunities to raise revenue and create jobs just from solving our problems? Will we sit still or will we keep moving? Are we nouns or are we verbs? My name is Kojo Yankson, and I won't just be when I can do. Good morning, Ghana.
Are you a noun or are you a verb?
Oh, I want to be a verb every day of the week. You are looking quite verbal in your wonderful, wonderful shirt. I love that shirt so much.
Listen, I want you to try the biology question.
I gave it a go earlier, you know. So the birds can stand on the thing, hold on to it, no electric shock. Either their claws are made of plastic or chali.
That's your answer?
Or maybe they make a phone call to ECG.
Oh my God.
I can't wait to find out the answer though. I have a feeling I've done better than Maxwell.
Really?
I'll do better than Maxwell on this one. Oh yeah.
Maybe. Could you thank you for the morning message? Always very inspiring.
It's a pleasure.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's Kojo Yankson. He's off to the Super Morning Show on Joy FM. I'm not saying stop watching me and listen to him, by the way. Stay with us. We've got the AM News coming out right after this.